This is an overview of my game, Fantastic Strategies, which is made for the 3016 coursework 1. The game is a turn-based tactical game, basically set on a turn-based board, a grid-based board like chess, where the sort of like chess, each player has a set of units which they'll move around the board, has their own type, has their own, and then will be able to make those units fight. The winning player, though, is whoever has living units the longest. So if player 1 loses all their army first, player 2 will win. Yeah, there's different unit types within the game. This sort of adds to the strategy of the game. I'll go over this a bit more later when I show off the game. The game it was made in C++. The main dependencies used in the game were STL3, STL3 image, STL3 TTF. STL3 was used for basically making most of the graphics of the game, developing the grid, loading up the windows. Where this is sort of a pixel-based game, it did work very well for that. STL-TTF was to generate the text. This is mainly done on the information bits on the page, so unit information when selected, saying what turn it is, and then also saying the results of a combat engagement. And STL image was basically used to load up all the different assets, like the unit sprites, the home, like the main menu screen, and the end screen. So the assets of the game were completely AI generated. I aimed to make them of a similar style. In my prompts I asked for SNES style prompts. So all the game sprites do look quite similar, and then all the menu screens also do look quite similar to each other as well. Other than that, for AI use, I did use it as basically a coding assistant. So there was basically one of the main things I use it for is basically STL help. I've not really done STL before, so I essentially used it and whether there's not many STL3 guides, at least at the time when I was learning it, I basically used it to help me translate STL2 guides into STL3, and also just to help explain what the different things, what the different functions and different bits of STL mean. So with that, I sort of learn how to do it, and I also use it for some debugging. In terms of game and programming patterns used, there were two key patterns used. First one was the game loop pattern, where essentially there was a while loop, and it's basically while game running, continue, and each sort of iteration is a frame of the game essentially. So each frame it can catch user player inputs, and it will it'll sort of update the game on what's happening right now. In addition to that, and sort of an extension of that pattern is the observer pattern. So essentially, instead of updating the graphics every single frame, basically when something happens that would warrant an update, so for example, a player unit gets moved or some combat happens, basically a Boolean value will be set to true, and then at the start of the next iteration, the next frame, the game will recognize that an update needs to be done, and that'll be set to false again until another update needs to be done for the graphics. This sort of pattern is good because it means that the game will run more smoothly, as instead of updating unnecessarily every second, it will only update when it needs to. I'll now show basically a demonstration of the game. So I'll now do a quick walkthrough demonstration of how the game plays. So it starts off with just a simple title screen. This is just a AI generated asset, so nothing too complex there. So after clicking enter, it takes you to an option screen. You click change skirmish, battle or war. This is basically the amount of units that will be in the game. So skirmish will be 5 on each side, battle will be 10 on each side, war will be 15 on each side. For the sake of this demonstration, I'll start off with skirmish. So when the game starts up, it will generate a map. There'll be five. There'll be the designated units on each side, and it will randomly assign them locations on each side of the map for each player, and also randomly assign them different unit types, which there are three of. So there's the archer, which is slower moving, has the best range. There's the knight, which is the fastest movement, but is bad at avoiding, so it tends to take more damage in combat. And then there's the duelist, which is slow moving, but incredibly powerful if it gets into combat. So starting off the first turn, usually there isn't much combat that occurs. It's mostly just sort of tactically placing your units, so when combat does occur, you are well placed for it. So as you can see, we've now reached the point where units are within range of each other. So as you saw there, when the unit's clicked on, it'll show the different locations you can move it to. So if I move this forward, it will then highlight anything that's in range of it to attack. The lance of this, the knight has 2 range, which means it can target the thing right in front of it, or it can target the knight that's an extra square away. So when the combat happens, you'll see sort of an update of what happens at the bottom of the screen, as well as some visual effects. So you can see the knight damaged the opponent there, but then also took some damage in return. This is part of the risk of combat, is that the enemy does strike back, even if you do have the advantage from attacking them, so you do have to watch out for that. As you can see, the archer has a longer range, so it is able to shoot that enemy from all the way back there. The archer is quite strong is quite strong in the way that it can shoot so far, but it is weak in the fact that it does move quite slow and is weak to rope it's weaker in close range combat. So that is another bit of strategizing the player can do. I'll now skip ahead to when the game is near finished to show you the effects of that. As you can see here, the game's in a situation where it's practically over. The blue team only has 1 unit remaining, so I'll basically just let the game finish off there. Did manage to kill the unit of a counter-attack there. As you can see, since it was the last unit of the blue team there, when it used its activation, the red team just got to use basically everything against it. So as you can see, the red team's won. Another AI-generated asset there. Just to show that there's a blue version as well if the blue team wins. When you click that, it'll take you back to this screen. And just for demonstration purposes, I'll show you when I click the war. There's a lot more units generated, so you can choose your sort of game size.